Hello and welcome to
Closing the Gap.
Motorsport Diaries.
I'm Ari.
And I am Aranza.
And we have the Austrian GP this weekend.
Which was amazing.
I thought you were going to say, which was a mess.
I mean, it was more stressful than it was a mess.
It was a mess in a good way, I think.
Yeah. Not us not agreeing with our own opinions.
It's Silverstone also coming up this weekend.
It is.
The FOMO, fam, I'm going to get.
The Lando
I wore
Stan
my
FOMO that I have.
2023 Silverstone, because it's the first year in 3 years that I'm not going to be there. And it's hurting. But, we're going to sacrifice so we can do Sandford. So we can see the girls run. Monza, maybe.
Yes.
Leave us in the comments if you're going to be at any of those. We would like to be as many as we can.
Yes. We would like to hang out, please and thank you, because it's literally just us two.
All right, so we're going to jump right into the race. I think the only highlights to take away from Quali were Gabi Bortoleto, for sure, rookie of the weekend.
Yes.
I disagree, not driver of the weekend, but rookie of the weekend for sure. And Max giving him that slipstream at the end to make his qualifying better.
So nice.
Stop. That was I mean, when he confirmed that he had done that, I was like, that's the goat.
You know what? Max takes care of the rookies like no one took care of him when he was a rookie. It's amazing to see, because unfortunately he did not get the same treatment.
But, and I think that's one thing that we admire of, like Lewis, for example, and like now Max, Fernando, the entire, right?
Oh, Fernando.
They really look after them, and yeah. I feel like it comes from a place where we're going to do for them what we wish somebody would have done for us.
Agreed.
Not taking credit away from the mentors that have helped the rookies, but right. I think this new generation is really lucky. Yeah, I would say, lucky about all of the seniors in a way, trying to help them progress and
the seasoned
drivers. And then so yeah, let's jump straight into the race.
Let us, because Oscar really made Lando earn that win from the jump. From the jump.
I loved the fact that McLaren finally got on the same-ish page.
Oh my God, it was to watch both pit walls lead their driver, this is what McLaren should be doing from weekend in, weekend out. This was beautiful, this was gorgeous, amazing.
I love how they kept referring to each other as the other car. Well, the other car is, and I'm just like, bro, say it. Just say it out loud. Yeah. I love that they let them race. I love that the communication with the pit wall was so specific that they gave them options, like A, B, C, all of the above. And they kind of just I love that dynamic that we got to see.
That was so nice. And I love that they asked for help, and they were like, okay, how can we make this better? And their pit wall said, okay, here, no hesitation, no nothing. This is what you can do. Boom, 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 boom. Choose what you want to do. Done.
I think Ferrari should take a page out of the McLaren.
I was just about to say.
I think Williams.
Something that Ferrari should take from McLaren. Because what was that? What was again? This is the third weekend in a row.
But we saw Charles back in the podium, right? So that was great. I love seeing Charles in the podium. We got to see him back on the podium. I think on the Ferrari garage, a win is a win at the end of the day.
Right.
And those are not coming by very often. So we're going to take what we can get.
A Charles podium is amazing. I love to see it every time. I would love to see a Charles top step, but
I don't think that's coming anytime
soon. It's not coming.
But what do we know, right? I think Williams should take a page out of the McLaren book. Not that they're doing everything right, but they're doing something right. At least their cars are racing. I'm just sorry, but as a racing fan, but mostly, as most of you know by now, as a Carlos fan, I'm very triggered because James vows, like, where are those? You broke your vows. That is what happened there. I am sorry. What are you guys doing? Williams, wake up.
You know what?
Honestly, it was bad.
Listen,
it was bad.
It's the Delulu in us because Carlos did say from the beginning, do not expect podiums. And then he started off so good.
But I expect him to participate in the races. Granted, I'm not expecting a podium. I'm not listen, at this point I ain't expecting no points.
Oh my god.
But I'm expecting him to see him race.
I'm expecting him to actually do a lap at least. Finish the race.
Formula One, pinnacle of motorsport. He
Finish
said this car is undrivable. He's a driver. The least you can do is have him drive.
Give him a drivable car.
It's not that hard. I'm sorry.
I'll
it's
lend
not
him
that
my
hard.
Jeep. Maybe that'll be better than a Williams car.
Maybe I'm sounding like Sonny Hayes, but just it's not hard. Just do it. Just make it go.
Literally.
Bro.
What a mess.
It
Talking
was
about
bad.
messes. Our Kimi, our boy.
We go back to the seniority thing and the mentorship, right? We all know what would have happened if that Mercedes was not Kimi and Antonelli.
True.
I said it backwards, but same point.
Andrea, Kimi, Antonelli, if that wasn't you, you guys would not have a motorhome. You guys would not have a factory.
A driver. You would be down one driver, one
You
car.
would be down a team principal. So sorry, Susie.
It would be. I feel like we all know that would have panned out really bad if it wasn't Kimi.
Because even Max said it on the radio before he realized it was Kimi.
He said a bad word.
What
Yeah.
idiot.
And even the commentators, and I can't remember if it was Alex or David, but one of them said, oh, Max is going to get out and throw hands, and Kimi's staying in because he knows that's the only safe place right now, right?
I know.
But when he realized it was Kimi, and even the commentators said, Max is in a zen kind of state.
Stable position.
Yeah, he wasn't throwing hands, and it came from the realization that it was Kimi and that it wasn't George. So here, honestly, Max Verstappen,
You guys got
the
lucky
man that
at
you
the
are.
garage.
But yeah, we got, so that makes 4 DNFs, 2 on Williams, Kimi, and Max. So we had 16 positions at the end of the race.
Alex one came later, but yes, that we had 4 DNFs.
Listen, I'm
But
not
it's
gonna waste
all
any
the
more time
same
on
thing.
Williams. Nobody is.
Anyways,
I'm sorry. I knew we said wait until 2026, with the regulations in the car is gonna be here. And this is my thing. We're gonna go on a different tangent, but we're going there. This is why
grab your popcorn.
I think this is why Carlos didn't take the Mercedes seat. Because Toto said Carlos wouldn't take it 1 year. It was never about Kimi. Because they were in talks with Max. So they knew they could bring Kimi out, and if they decided to shut him back out, right?
Yep.
And I feel like Carlos, to an extent, had to know this too. Because if now the talks are getting stronger and stronger about Max going to Mercedes, which I don't doubt for a single second, that's why Carlos it was always like a 1 year deal. It had nothing to do with Kimi. It was Max.
Interesting. Now we're theorizing.
This weekend I feel like it threw so many curveballs at us in moments like Joey from Friends moments. Oh.
Right. And we also recently had the Bottas to Alpine. Where's
happening?
everything coming from? What
We
is going
learned
on?
that Franco is going on a race by race basis now.
Yeah.
The disrespect.
Well, because Jack only had a 5-race contract, everyone also assumed that Franco was on the same contract, because I don't know when Alpine is going to realize that it is not your driver's, it is your car.
I think we all know that the man behind Alpine, I'm not going to say his name, we all know who I'm talking about. Franco it was never about Jack, and it was never about Franco. It was about taking the advantage of the race circuits, because they wanted Jack to race home. Jack is an amazing driver, and he deserves so much better. Franco is an amazing driver, and he deserves so much better. And it was always about playing them and the marketing that runs around them to the races that they were going to race.
Agreed.
And the fact that he's on a race-by-race basis, that is never going to be good for your driver. That is never going to be good for your team because it's instability.
It adds extra stress to the driver. It adds extra stress to the team. If you don't have a stable car minimum, you should at least have a stable driver. And the only stable driver, unfortunately, you guys are not giving him a car good enough to show what he can do. And not very many people talk about Pierre. He has his weaknesses, but he also has very many strengths that Alpine has not allowed him to show at all.
We heard him on the radio a couple of times this race. It was bad. It was bad.
God.
And Pierre has something that a lot of the grid, we rarely ever, we know because they're drivers and they're the best in the world. Mm-hmm. We know we have them, but Pierre is the one that shows it the most. Like, just that drive, that hunger, regardless of he knows that he's driving a piece of box and he still is trying to extract every single second that he can from that car, week in and week out.
And he said it before that it really sucks because the guys that he grew up with, obviously all of the people on the grid, half of the grid he grew up with, are getting really good cars and are able to show, their car is matching what their skills are matching, and he has so many skills,
so much potential.
So much, not even potential. He is a good driver. Yeah, he just doesn't have good machinery. And Alpine keeps effing him over, and it's so unfair. And Pierre, honestly, I hope you get a good car because you deserve to fight up there with everybody else.
You do, and it's going to happen. I think we are in a great era of the sport where I think we are kind of set. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but drivers-wise, I think we're set to see amazing battles. The rookies that just came in, we shouldn't rotate that much more. There's so much talent on the grid right now.
There is.
And I feel like if given the right tools on every side of the team,
yes.
I think we could see amazing races, and we're not because a lot of people are coming short.
That, aside from Williams, but today proves that once you give these drivers good machinery, you get good races. Like, McLaren was not doing this 2 years ago. Let alone last year, beginning of last year, they weren't doing this, And randomly, Lando and when Carlos was in the team were getting podiums, and it was just came out of nowhere. Yeah. And now it's now they have a good car because they worked at it, and their car matches their skills, and they're showing it, and they're proving it, and they're reaping the benefits of all of their hard work.
And then speaking about Alpine collab with McLaren, I think Oscar, nerves of steel Piastri, the pressure is getting to him. It has to, because we had never heard Oscar on the radio say the things that he said this weekend.
You know what? I don't think it's the pressure. I think he's just so angry at Alpine, as he should be. Because a
lot of things came out this weekend, and some of them had nothing to do with Alpine, though. So I think he's feeling it.
He's also never sounded more Australian.
I know. He said the bad words, and it just sounded like,
I was whoa.
Well, I didn't know there was an Alabama down there. It was bad. It was really bad. But I think we're seeing a side of Oscar Piastri. I'm thrilled, by the way. This is not a bad thing. We're seeing a side of him that. Not that we always, we see all this content that is obviously created around his image about he's this and he's that. But I think it's funny, but it also gives him that kind of humanizes him in the side that along with the rest of the drivers that do participate more and kind of lean into the narrative that is told about them, right?
The thing is also a lot of people didn't watch him in F2.
Yeah.
If you didn't watch him in F2, you don't know his personality.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's hilarious.
He's really funny. I don't think we doubt that. It's just more about him actually
showing
that he gets mad.
He's showing a little bit more of his personality and stuff. Last year he was very reserved, very quiet. But in F2 he was cannonball.
But I loved hearing him on the radio, and I think that Alpine comment was a little bit out there. It was a little bit outlandish, but I'm here for the chaos. Listen, I thrive on chaos, so I am here for it.
Listen, like Sunny Hayes said,
Oh God,
Plan
let's not
chaos.
quote this man for reals right now. We'll come back later with the review of the F1 movie.
Oh my
because we have
gosh.
thoughts, but I don't
We
want
have
to
many
keep quoting
thoughts.
Sonny Hayes.
Many thoughts.
Let's talk about steak.
They had a great weekend.
Nico Hulkenberg. Listen,
The way that man came out in a towel. Just say.
Of all the things I thought you were gonna say right now, that was not any of them.
Listen, he came out in a towel, not me. So,
Oh my God.
and Gabriel's just like disbelief. Same.
Because
Same.
that would be me. That would be me.
Same.
Listen, I feel like steak just treated us to a nice spa day. That's how I felt after if I was a steak fan like full time, I would have felt like the most
On
pampered
cloud
woman in the
nine.
world. Because it gave us everything. They gave us points. They gave us content. They gave Nico shirtless,
Double
sure.
points.
But here's the thing. Talking about race. They said, first of all, Gabby, here, rookie. The rookies are coming through. Hadjar did amazing. Lawson, if we still consider him a
Lawson,
rookie,
yeah,
did
he's not a rookie
amazing.
anymore,
Like they're coming through.
Ollie was doing so good.
Ollie
he
was
got just under the points.
But that's okay, 'cause
Haas
SC
was
got
also
points.
really good if we're talking about midfield teams, but steak.
And I think Gabby did amazing, and we're so happy that he got his rookie points. But I think a couple of times we heard him on the radio. I think it was more of a demand.
Gotcha.
Like,
I didn't hear his radio.
Because he said, is he going to let me through or what?
Oh,
About
yeah.
Nico. And then it's like, well, Nico also has a race to put together. Mind you, P20
right
to
like,
P9. Excuse me, like
he has more.
he
of a
had
right
the
to be in
race
front.
to put together. So for him to, and again, we're talking out of our, because we've never been in that kind of pressure, and a lot of emotions can come out of like a high pressure situation like that, right?
Right.
But this is the thing, like I think Bortoleto is not in a position to be demanding things yet, and if that was the case, he was
Especially
putting a
against
race together.
Nico. When he's coming,
He's his
like you said,
teammate.
from P20, like
It was like both of them were in the race and both of them were trying to get into the points, and the team knew this, both pit walls knew this, so it's like, where are you coming from? And then the commentator said that they had that Gabby had a huge undercut, that he did a huge undercut on Nico. But this is the thing, did he? Because Nico started on softs
yeah, he did.
and then he switched to mediums. Gabby started on mediums, so like a 10 lap difference. I mean, they were on different strategies. That's not an undercut. It's not like they were like, taking from one. They were taking from Peter to give to
No, at all. Yeah. They were on totally different races. They were having their own thing. They really weren't like this for Steak was not a team effort.
Yeah.
This was every individual to themselves, and that could be said for pretty much all the teams this time around.
Yeah.
Which is insane. But yeah, it was completely different strategies. Didn't make sense.
We're happy for them, obviously, but there's a few there's a few tweaks that can be done that I think would create a better overall experience
Right.
for everybody on both sides of the screen for Steak. And obviously, I am a Nico fan, so I'm really happy that he's proving himself, that he continues to prove himself. I remember when Checo got the sack, and we didn't know who was going to get the second Red Bull seat. I remember this meme came out, and there's like second seat Red Bull options, right? And it was Yuki, and then it was, like all the options that we thought we had then. And then it said me, like ... an intellectual. And it was like just like a sticker of Nico Hulkenberg. And that has been my meme for the last year. And honestly, like, you're going to see the post, but that's still me. Like, I think Nico gets taken for granted so bad all the time. Like, he's such a talented driver, and he keeps proving it every week. And that man's podium is coming, listen, okay? And it's going to heal everything that is wrong with the world.
you know
I firmly
what?
believe it.
Now that you mentioned him like being one of the Red Bull seat contenders, I don't think that man would go anyways because Steak is really giving him a good car. As far as they can for now.
Oh, yeah, they did
They're
bring
giving-
upgrades, right?
Yeah,
That's
they're
true.
giving him a good car. That we go back to. If you give the driver a good machinery, he will prove to you that he is a good. There's a reason why they are 1 of 20.
Yeah.
We go back to the same thing.
So it was a good week. Oh, so we learned that Spielberg got extended all the way through 2041.
Yeah, that's.
I hope I'm alive to see that.
Contract.
So that's a big contract.
Everybody's getting long contracts nowadays.
Well, either you're getting canceled, or we're getting long contracts. I think there's no in between, and there hasn't been an in between for a minute now.
Listen,
Like
as
with
long
all
as
these,
we don't get canceled.
now with all these new circuits coming up and
I
like popping
know.
out of nowhere.
Yeah, really.
I'm thrilled for Madrid, but other than that,
Also, they just put out a new F1 calendar for 2026, and then there's still an asterisk next to Madrid. So it's still like it might
scared.
happen if it gets approved or not. Also, why are you putting it on a calendar if it's not approved yet?
listen, I feel like a lot of things are going to change for 2026. I'm excited.
I think so too.
But we're super happy for Orlando, obviously. 15-point difference in the championship. So may the best man win.
Right.
It's gonna be such an interesting season for McLaren fans.
Whoever wins, we will be seeing
I'm gonna
a
celebrate.
welcome back.
Oh,
We
we're
will
gonna
be
get.
seeing a welcome back for number 33. We had a good run. Your dominance was everything
fine.
I could have asked for and more.
We're all gonna be okay.
You deserve it. You deserve to come back 33. I missed you.
It's okay. We're all gonna be fine. Carlos fans, we're gonna be fine. Max fans, we're gonna be fine.
Checo fans, I hope we're okay.
Checo fans. What about the podcast? Let's talk really quickly about this podcast because
Yes.
Max.
That man is so funny.
Did you see when this one of the press members said, Max, have you heard the podcast with Checo where
And
he
Max
basically said
"Yup, I love that man.
he
Me too."
twisted Checo's words. I get what he was trying to say. He was trying to communicate it in a very
I think it was also just
sketch
the
way.
translation format got a little lost.
He was
and
trying to get
tried
something out of
spin
Max.
it, Yeah.
But I am so proud. This week, listen, I know Max got DNF, but I feel like I've earned so much more respect. I've always been on Max's side. I know he's a menace in the car, but listen, outside
makes him
Max he's insane. He's so talented. But that made
He's the
him
most
respect him so
kind
much more.
Person in the world.
He's like, you're not gonna come and tell me that somebody that I have
A
an
man that I
amazing
know
relationship with
personally.
would say something like that. It's like, I'm pretty sure he didn't say it the way you're trying to say it, he didn't mean it the way you're trying to say it. And I was just like, wow.
And he's never said that about anybody.
So
ever.
honestly, like, yes. And I hope Checo
My
comes
chest
back on
up
the
and
grid.
heart.
I think we will. Based on that podcast, if you haven't seen it, we'll try and leave the link somewhere. It's is it translated anywhere?
I don't know if it's. I think YouTube automatically translates. So if it is up on their YouTube, it should be auto translated into any languages.
It's a very interesting podcast. If you have the chance, watch it.
And you know what? People don't give Checo enough credit because that man is hilarious. That man is funny.
Honestly, I would have loved to be in the Red Bull garage when they were just like shooting this. It would be hilarious.
I just want to be a fly on the wall anywhere Checo is.
True facts.
I want to be an elote in his hand.
Now that I'm thinking about like the Spielberg renewal, do you think it has anything? Obviously, it's the Red Bull written, right?
Right.
But also, I feel like Toto had his hand in there too because it's home,
Yeah.
So I feel like that makes sense. I've never been to Spielberg. I was supposed to go, I think, 2 years ago, but it looks like a really interesting track.
It looks so much fun. The elevation.
We would love to hear
is
from all
crazy
your
on
personal
that.
experiences. Yeah, you're never able to see really like the elevation on some
Right?
circuits, and in this one you can tell. So it has to really be. I mean, we have the stats obviously every weekend on it.
Yeah,
but
if you pay
you can
attention to the
see it.
beginning, even when I saw it, I was like I've seen it before, but this time I really saw it and I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
That was
craziness.
insane.
All right, so I think does that conclude our episode for now?
That concludes Austria.
Yeah, Austria, the GP. That was F1. There was an F2 race,
Yes,
and we
there
saw
was.
a wild accident. If you have
Oh
a chance
my
to
God,
check out,
that
that was
was-
crazy. That was airborne, and
Oh my god.
we're gonna wrap up this episode.
And that's why, hold on, before we wrap up, we are so glad for the invention of the Halo.
That's what I was gonna say.
Thank you. Thank you for the invention because they probably would not be alive without it. 100%.
Mm-hmm. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. I'm not gonna say names, but we would still have people alive if the halo would have been implemented before.
Right.
So I was going to say that exactly. We're going to wrap this episode just being thankful, and just anybody that ever thought that the halo was a bad idea because of aesthetics. We owe so many lives to the halo. So here for the sport, for motorsport in general.
Time and time again that it was needed. It
was needed, and yeah. So here for staying safe. We know it's about entertainment. It's an amazing sport. So let's just like always. My heart jumped when I saw that fire and Carlos didn't get out of the car for a second, because the way that like lenses kind of just like put everything on the same plane, right? And I thought for a second that it was like close to him. It wasn't.
I also
for a second I was like,
I don't
Jesus
think he
Christ.
saw it, but they were there.
And he got on the radio, which we heard later. So
we did.
Props to everybody that keeps all the drivers and everybody, all the team members safe.
Whoever works on safety of F1, you are doing your job. We love you.
We appreciate you.
All your flowers.
And so yeah, we'll catch you soon with the review of the movie. And thank you for tuning in this week.
Yes, and we will see you for Silverstone.
We'll see you for Silverstone next week. And hopefully a lot of really quick predictions for Silverstone. Super quick.
Stop. You can't bring me up. Lando wins.
I think we get a Lewis back to back. I think Lewis, I think the Brits are going to take over, because there's something about being home that you can't explain. I think it's going to be Lewis. I think it's either they're going to be George and Lando, or Lewis, Lando, and George.
Listen,
Don't quote me on it.
We need to stop having George mystery podiums, please. I would personally like to see. This is just, throwing an idea out there. It's going to be either Lewis or Lando first, and then second, and then Ollie Behrman.
Another Brit. I'm here for it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to Closing the Gap, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.